What's up, everybody? It's Old Man Winter 8 for Sun and Ski Sports, and we're going to find out if the Arbor Satori is a wise buy for you. So the Satori is the brainchild of Arbor legend Brian Iguchi. He obviously has his Iguchi Pro, but he wanted to have another board that was a little bit more accessible for a wider range of riders, and this really has turned into a staple in the Arbor lineup. It is a volume shifted board, which means that it has been shortened, but it's also been widened and stiffened up a little bit. So you're going to downsize about 3 to 6 centimeters. So if you usually ride a 160, you can downsize all the way to this 54, and it's going to feel like a 160 when you got it underneath your feet. And obviously when you look at this thing, you can see it does have a directional shape. We have that little bit longer nose, a little bit more of a kind of a point on the nose and a tiny bit of a swallow on the tail. But a really important thing to note about this board is that even though it is a directional shape, the stance is centered up on the side cut. So this thing is going to want to float when you get into some deep snow, but most importantly, when you're riding it on flat snow and those kicks aren't touching anything and just hanging out in the air, it's going to feel a lot closer to a twin tip board than you would think. And when we go to the bend on this thing, it does have a traditional camber style bend where the middle of the board is lifted up and it's basically giving you all that power in between your feet. But it does feature their 5-degree fenders where essentially the board at your contact points has been lifted up and almost looks like it's been bent up a little bit. If you look just right in the light, you can actually see that three-dimensional shaping. So you're getting a little bit more of a catch-free, easier feel. Also, if you do get this into some deep snow, it's going to want to send the snow away from those contact points. So it is giving you a little bit more float. And then when you're getting it onto those harder, icier conditions and you really want to lay on some carbs, it does have their Grip Tech 2.25. So this is where the edge bumps out a little bit at your feet. So not only do you have your contact point where your carb starts and your contact point where your carb ends, but we have 2 more contact points that really want to rip into those harder, icier conditions and really hold an edge so you're going to have the confidence that the board's not going to give out on you. Then when we go inside of the board, this has a little bit more of a medium flex, so it's very, very good for a wide range of riders. It has their mixed glassing, so we're getting a layer of triaxial glass, which is a little snappier, livelier, but also has a layer of biaxial fiberglass that gives it a little bit easier, smoother feel. So it really kind of gives you the ultimate combination of quickness, liveliness, but also that free-flowing feel when you're going in and out of your turns. And then, of course, like most Arbor boards, we have their hand-dyed ash power ply top sheet. So this top sheet is made of wood. It's not a polymer, it's not a graphic. This is literally a piece of wood that has been laid up on top of the board to give it not only an amazing look, because this is one of the best looking boards in the lineup, in my opinion, but it adds spring, it adds pop, it adds power. It's literally adding some substance to the board without adding any weight to it. And then, of course, if Brian Iguchi's putting his name on a board, he's going to have a very high quality cinder base that is fast and durable. But is the Arbor Satori a wise buy for you? Well, this is definitely for those riders who are intermediate to advanced, who are looking for something just a little bit different. Everything about this board from contact point to contact point says classic all-mountain board. Obviously up in the nose and tail, you're going to get that extra float exactly where you need it. And then obviously with that Grip Tech, that 1 layer of triaxial and that hand-dyed ash top sheet, if you want to go out and lay on some carbs, this thing is going to be able to handle some higher speeds and some harder carbs without any problems. And then with that volume shift, this really gives this board a whole other dimension. You have a little less swing weight, so a board that's very, very easy to throw around. But again, it's going to feel like you have a little bit bigger board on your feet no matter where you're riding. And then speaking of that, these things are crazy amounts of fun in the trees because they are very, very nimble, but you still get that float. They're also really good for those heavier riders who are looking for a board that's more their size, but can definitely hold their weight. But if you got any questions about what we're talking about in this video, definitely leave some comments down below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to the Sun and Ski YouTube channel. And make sure to head on into your local Sun and Ski so you can check out the Arbor Satori for yourself. But if you don't have one nearby, no big deal. You can always check this thing out at sunandski.com.